Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Now, today, I've got... Actually, this whole week, I've got a whole week of reading 4 readings every day, apart from the last day of the week. Yay. So, because I've got so many readings to do, I better get started. So, today is day 86 of reading the Bible in a year. This is week 18, day 1. Okay. And I'm reading chapter 18 of 1 Samuel as well. Saul resents David. Now, when he had finished speaking to Saul, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. Saul took him that day and would not let him go home to his father's house any more. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan took off the robe that was on him and gave it to David, with his armour, even to his sword and his bow and his belt. So David went out wherever Saul sent him, and behaved wisely. And Saul set him over the whole of the men of war. And he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. Now it had happened, as they were coming home, when David was returning from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women had come out of the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, with tambourines, and with joy, and with musical instruments. So when the women sang as they danced, and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Then Saul was very angry at the saying displeased him, and he said, They have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed only thousands. Now what more can he have but the kingdom? So Saul eyed David from that day forward. And it happened on the next day that the distressing spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied inside the house. So David played music with his hand, as at other times, but there was a spear in Saul's hand. And Saul cast a spear, for he said, I will pin David to the wall. But David escaped his presence twice. Does that mean that Saul threw the spear twice? Now Saul was afraid of David, because the Lord was with him, but he had departed from Saul. Therefore Saul removed him from his presence, and made him his captain over 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. Therefore when Saul saw that he behaved very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, because he went out and came back in before them. David marries Michal. Then Saul said to David, Here is my older daughter Merab. I will give her to you as a wife. Only be valiant for me and fight the Lord's battles. For Saul thought, Let my hand not be against him, but the hand of the Philistines be against him. And David said to Saul, Who am I? And what is my life for my father's family in Israel, that I should be the son-in-law to the king? I don't know why I'm doing one side of the mouth for Saul, one side of the mouth for David. I just am. But it happened at the time of when Merab, Saul's daughter, should have been given to David, that she was given to Adriel, the Mahalathite, as a wife. Now Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David, and they told Saul that the thing pleased him. So Saul said, I will give her to him, that she may be a snare to him, and the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Therefore Saul said to David a second time, You shall be my son-in-law today. And Saul commanded his servants, Communicate with David secretly, and say, Look, the king has a delight in you, and all his servants love you. Now therefore become the king's son-in-law. So Saul's servant spoke these words in the hearing of David. And David said, Does it seem that you are a light thing to be a king's son-in-law, seeing I am a poor and lightly esteemed man? And the servants of Saul told him, saying, In this manner David spoke. Then Saul said, Thus you shall say to David, The king does not desire any dowry, but 100 foreskins of the Philistines, to take vengeance on the king's enemies. But Saul thought to make David fall by the hand of the Philistines. So when his servants told David these words, it pleased David well to become the king's son-in-law. Now the days had not expired. Therefore David arose and went, he and his men, and killed 200 men of the Philistines. And David brought their foreskins and gave them in full count to the king, that he might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave Michal his daughter as a wife. Thus Saul saw and knew that the Lord was with David, and that Michal, Saul's daughter, loved him. And Saul was still more afraid of David. So Saul became David's enemy continually. Then the princes of the Philistines went out to war. And so it was, whenever they went out, that David behaved more wisely than all the servants of Saul, so that his name became highly esteemed. Saul persecutes David. Now Saul spoke to Jonathan his son, and to all his servants, that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted greatly in David. So Jonathan told David, saying, My father Saul seeks to kill you. Therefore please be on your guard until morning, and stay in a secret place and hide. And I will go out and seek beside my father in the field where you are, and I will speak with my father about you, and then what I observe I will tell you. Thus Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul his father, and said to him, Let not the king of sin against his servant, against David, because he had not sinned against you, and because his works have been very good toward you. For he took his wife in his hands and killed the Philistines, and the Lord brought about a great deliverance for all Israel. And you saw it and rejoiced. Why then will you sin against innocent blood, to kill David without cause? So Saul heeded the voice of Jonathan, and Saul swore, As the Lord lives, he shall not be killed. Then Jonathan called David, and Jonathan told him all these things. So Jonathan brought David to Saul, and he was in his presence as in times past. And there was a war again, and David went out and fought with the Philistines, and struck them with a mighty blow, and they fled from him. Now the distressing spirit from the Lord came upon Saul as he sat in his house, with his spear in his hand, and David was playing music with his hand. Then Saul sought to pin David to the wall with the spear again. But he slipped away from Saul's presence, and drove the spear into the wall. So David fled and escaped that night. Saul also sent messengers to David's house to watch him and to kill him in the morning. And Michal, Saul's daughter, David's wife, told him, saying, If you do not save your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed. So Michal let David down through a window, and he went and fled and escaped. And Michal took an image and laid it in the bed, and put a cover of goat's hair for its head, and covered it with clothes. So when Saul's messengers sent messengers to take David, she said, "He is sick." Then Saul sent the messengers back to David, saying, "Bring him up to me in the bed, that I may kill him." And when the messengers had come in, there was the image in the bed, with a cover of goat's hair for his head. Then Saul said to Michal, "Why have you deceived me like this, and sent my enemy away, so that he has escaped?" And Michal answered to Saul, "He said to me, 'Let me go. Why should I kill you?'" So David fled and escaped, and went to Samuel at Ramah, and told him all that Saul had done to him. And Samuel went and stayed in Naioth. Naioth. Noith. I'll say Noith. Now it was told Saul, saying, "Take note, David is at Noith in Ramah." Then Saul sent messengers to take David, and when they saw the group of prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing there as leader over them, the Spirit of God came upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied. And when Saul was told, he sent other messengers, and they prophesied also. Then Saul sent messengers again a third time, and they prophesied likewise. Then he also went to Ramah, and came to the great well that is at Seku. So he asked and said, "Where are Samuel and David?" And someone said, "Indeed, they are at Noith and Ramah." So he went there to Noith and Ramah. Then the Spirit of God came upon him also, and he went on and prophesied until he came to Noith in Ramah. And he also stripped off his clothes and prophesied before Samuel in the like manner, and lay down all that day and that night. Therefore they say, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" Well. That was eventful. Now, some people say that David and Jonathan had a coupling, but some people don't. I don't know. Don't really care either way. Because if you're going, if you love someone, then you're in a relationship with them anyway, either friendship or coupling. Does it matter? Like, does it actually matter what's written down about their relationship? Because David had multiple wives and concubines against the Lord's wishes. And yeah, like Saul probably disapproved of their relationship because they were too close for his liking. Some people would say that a man and a woman could be too close for their liking. or two men, or two women, or maybe 3 or more people could be too close. I don't really care one way or another. As long as you don't hurt people. Yeah. Alright. I will stop there for this reading, and I will go on to the next reading, which is 1 Chronicles chapter 3. And I will see you there in a minute.